Hello, and welcome to another editing video. This one here, I'm actually going to just run through it real quick so you can see my normal process, not slow down or anything. So I'm just going to go real quick. I'll try to explain what I'm doing as I'm going. We have here an image of Natalie. Her Instagram is natgotback. She's a cool friend. We've done a ton of shoots together. And here's a shot we did of some workout clothing type stuff here just on the side of the street. But I think I do want to change the background on here. I think I have a good, pretty clean shot here where I'll be able to cut her out of here and stick her into a different background. I'm thinking into like a stadium background. So I haven't done anything here to this image yet, so I'm going to run through this here in Lightroom and get this image adjusted so that it looks good. So I'm going to raise up my shadows, drop down my highlights a bit. I am going to bump up that exposure just a little bit. A little bit more contrast. I'm not too worried about the background, especially if I'm going to end up changing it. So I'm kind of more focused on her. So here we go. Maybe bump up those whites a little bit. There we go. So it's flattening her out just a little bit, but that's okay. Maybe bring down those. Bring it up just a little bit. That's a little too much. There we go. Brought up the temperature a little bit. See, maybe a little bit more clarity. A little bit dehaze. There we go. And I think that's all I'm going to do here to see before and after. There we go. The skin color is good. I like the colors on everything, so I'm not even really going to mess with the HSL bar here because anything toning wise, I'll be doing it in Photoshop since I'm going to have to do that anyway, especially if I bring in a different background. So alright, let's go ahead and bring this into Photoshop and get working on here. You can see it's plain background. Now I could leave the background, just darken it up and make it more into a portrait style shot like it is, but more focused on her, not so much the background. I could darken up the background. But I think I want to have a little bit more fun with this image. So that's why I'm thinking maybe sticking her into a stadium. Before I started the video, I did find a background that I think will work. So we will find out how well that goes. Alright, here we go. So first thing I'm going to do is my skin editing. So I hit Command J. I'm going to grab a spot healing brush for now. And I'm going to get zoomed in on her. She does have a ton of freckles, but we don't have to get rid of a bunch. I'm just going to take out just a few little things. I'm mainly looking for any scratches or pimples or anything like that. Just tiny little things. There we go, run it through. We don't need that freckle there. Calm that vein down. And she did have the infamous hair tie here. I'm going to try to take that out real quick. There we go. It's not perfect. You just work around it. And I'm actually going to grab my patch tool. And there we go. Bring in some different skin here because sometimes that healing brush doesn't do a great job on the texture. There we go. Maybe calm that vein down a little bit. There we go. Pants look good. There's nothing on those. Scrolling up. Nothing on the shirt. Everything looks really good. Get zoomed in here. Grab a few of these little things. You know what? In this case, I can actually go back to my spot healing brush. It was hot out that day, so she does have a little bit of sweat, but nothing too crazy. Get rid of this hair. And this one as well. There we go. I actually did pretty good. You got to be careful with that. Like I said, sometimes this spot healing brush will flatten out the texture of the skin. So you can't use it on too large of areas. It's really good on like these little things, like little freckles and individual little pieces of hair. Try to get some of these sweat beads out of here. Now you don't have to get this close in or this detailed, but I like to. I think it by the end of the edit, it makes a big difference to me. So like using this for like social media, like Instagram or something like that, it's going to be very hard to tell these little differences, these little changes here. But if you're going to be putting the image up on like a website or it's going on for like an ad or something like that, then having detailed work is the way to go. So I just got used to going all out on each edit instead of skimping, just because it'll be okay to post on social media. While you're here, you might as well get it done. I don't want to have to be going back later on and redoing anything. Most of the time my edits are pretty much one-off, so I don't, when it comes to toning and what I do, even though I have my my typical workflow that I go through, I don't have any set tones or colors or anything like that I use. There we go, just getting all these little things. So if I turn that on and off, you can see all the little things that were taken out. There we go. Fix that. That looks good. Let's see, maybe get rid of these little hairs right here. There we go. That looks really good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit layer, flatten out my image. I'm going to do quick frequency separation. Duplicate my layer twice, grab the bottom one, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and select on her face, zoom out a little bit, and I'm generally between 4 and 8, so 5.8 that actually looks good. I don't want to get too blurry. Okay, grab select the top layer, image, apply image, change the layer to layer 1 to that first layer that we duplicated, and change my blending to add and hit invert. From there, I'm going to change my blend mode on that layer to linear. Brings everything back. I'm going to go ahead and select both and put those into a group. Command G, and I'm going to make a black and white layer and then a curves layer so I can see the tone range in her skin. Darken it up just a little bit, put that into its own group. Come back to my frequency separation layers, grab the first layer, come over here, grab my mixer brush, with my settings here at the top, 32, 24, 24, 17, and 16. And I'm going to get zoomed in here. And now you can see the little areas that need to get adjusted. So with this brush, I'm just brushing from light to dark, or dark to light, just to blend those tones in together. So there's a nice transition between those tones. There we go. It's looking good. Like I said, this is my normal speed, how I would go. Like I said, I'm not trying to do too much of like a tutorial thing, just I had to do some edits today. So I figured I'd do at least one video. So there we go. Just work my way up. So you always want to be blending either from the light to the dark or dark to the light, just to blend those tones. There we go. Turn that on and off. You can see the difference that's made. Looks really good. There we go. So you can see how quick that is. You always want to zoom out too to check your work. Sometimes you can't really tell you got everything, if you're too zoomed in the whole time. Zoom out just a little bit. That's good. Arm, I can go make my brush bigger, do longer strokes. There we go, it's really dark in that area down there. Turn that on and off, you can see. Does a really good job, really fast. Once you get the hang of this brush, it's super easy to do your skin editing pretty quick. Get that little dark area there, we're going to get that out just a little bit. It's good. And with this, you generally do want to do this on all visible skin. You usually don't want to do this on just the face or anything, because then you'll tell, like, you know, the face was edited, but the rest of the body wasn't. So you go through the whole thing. So there we go, that looks good. I can delete my black and white layer, turn that on and off, and you can see the difference right there. Big difference. Now I am going to go to that texture layer that we haven't used. Select it, and then I'm going to hit Command J, duplicate it, and then I'm going to drop down my opacity to about anywhere between 30 and 40%, but I'm usually around the lower end of the 30s, 30 to 35. I'm going to use this for my dodging and burning. I'm going to grab my dodge tool here, 4% opacity, and I'm just going to do a global dodge and burn, hitting the highlights on her forehead, on her cheeks a little bit, right on her chin. And I'm just following basically where the natural highlights already are. Hit her hair just a little bit, wherever there's a highlight. So a little bit in the arms, side. There we go. A little bit in the shirt, the top of her head. Got that done. Now I'm going to switch to my burn tool. Hit the cheeks a little bit, around her face, and more into the shadows and the dark areas. There we go. On the outside. The shorts a little bit around the inside of the arm here. There we go. I turned that on and off. Looks really good. So that's the excuse me. So that's the whole skin editing right there. Look how quick that was. So now here comes kind of the more difficult part. Taking her out, changing out the background. So what I'm going to do is I want to make a new layer with all the effects done, but I don't want to get rid of this just yet. So I'm going to hit on my keyboard, I'm going to hit Command, Option, Shift, and E. And that how do you say, merges, there we go, merges all the layers into a new layer. So I could turn these two layers off and you can see. So if I turn on the background one, there we go. So now what I want to do is I want to cut her out, which I'm going to turn off both of these layers here so that it doesn't show up after I make a mask. Grab my quick selection tool. Let's see, hopefully this does a really good job. So I actually don't like cutting people out. Oops, I got it on the negative. Make sure it has the plus on there. So we want to add it into our selection. Going around. Just gonna, I can take that out. Do a quick selection of the whole body. Get all that in there. There we go. I think that's just about everything in there. Now we may have to get rid of that part just because of the hair that's in there. Let's see. Oh, missed the part of her head. There we go. Over on the side here. I'm not worried about the little pieces of hair. That's fine. So I'll make sure all the most important things are in the selection. There we go. Now I'm going to hit my minus tool so I can then deselect the inside of here. Now, I'm not a complete expert on doing a cutout, so there are definitely probably better ways. This is just how I've been doing it. So there we go. Go back to negative. We don't need that in there. Oops. Back to the plus sign. Do want our hand in there. There we go. To negative again. Take out all this grass here in the back. Took out some of her pants, so we have to put that back in there. There we go. Back to negative. I'm going to get zoomed in here and see just how close I can get in here. There we go. Put the plus sign. Missing a piece of her pants here a little bit. There we go. Negative. There we go. This little piece of sidewalk here. There we go. I think it did a pretty good rough selection. There we go. So now I'm going to hit the mask button down here. That takes out everything. Oops, I almost forgot here. Hold on, back up. I do think I want to take out this chunk of hair here. So let's see, let's take that out. We can. We really don't need that. There we go, I think that's a little bit better. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to hit the mask. There we go, I'm not worried about that. I can fix that. There we go. We have that here, and now I do have my image that I already found. I think this is going to work well, I hope. I'll bring this into Photoshop. There we go. Select my little tool here, drag it into this image and drop it. Yes. And I'm actually going to move that lower behind Natalie here. Hit Command T. Make this bigger. And I'm going to hit OK or Enter for now just to see how it looks. Move it around. Of course, you can see the color and everything's off, so that's where we're going to have to, things are going to come into play where we're going to have to make everything look right. I'm just trying to find a spot that might look really good. Kind of like that. This way we have the lines here and then the corner and then the clouds. I think that might be a really good spot. There we go. Okay, now we do have to adjust the lighting and the color on that background. So with that background selected, I am going to come up here. I'm going to come to curves, and then I'm going to hit this clip button at the bottom so it only affects that background layer. I'm actually going to drop that down. Let's see, maybe about here. Okay, sometimes you just got to play with it to see what you get and try to match it up as best as you can. Here we go. I'm also going to do a hue and saturation, desaturate it a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to go back to that layer, and I do want to blur that out because she's in focus. I don't want the background in focus. So blur, Gaussian blur. And let's see here. It's too much. Let's just go all the way to nothing. Slowly bring it up. I want to try to get the effect of like what the kind of blurring you would get in camera. That's pretty close. Actually looks pretty good. About 17, I think. Let that apply. Turn that on and off. There we go. That looks pretty good. But I think I am going to also do a color balance on that one. So I'm going to come up there, color balance, clip it down again. Start with my shadows. Now I will be doing an overall color balance to both her and background. Right now I'm just working on the background. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Almost looks like this is a flash shot. And this was shot in natural light. There we go. There you go. I'm liking that so far. And let's see here. I want to put all those, the background, into a group. So it's all that. There you go. I'm going to zoom in real quick though. I am going to look at my edges here. You can see a few things aren't perfect, so I'm going to come to that mask of her. This is her. I'm going to select the mask layer, grab my brush, make sure I'm painting on black, bump up the flow, and I am going to make the hardness a little bit on the hard side. This way it's a little bit easier to clean up these edges. I'm just going to brush away a little bit of that background that I didn't get in the selection. I didn't get out. Just make that edge a little bit better. There we go. It's looking good. Oop, you can see here, kind of messed up, so I can hit X to switch to white. And I can actually brush that area back in. There we go. Just like that. Hit X, go back to black. Just take that out. There we go. Nope, that doesn't look good. Step back. I'm just going to hit the edge. So this dark area from the background that we don't want. Around. Now, like I said, there's probably, well, I know there's easier ways to do this. I just haven't gotten into that much since I really don't do too much compositing work where I'm having to change out the backgrounds. It's something I'm definitely wanting to, and probably going to want to brush up on. There we go. Down a little bit better. Hand looks good. It's all pretty good selection there. Yeah, overall it did pretty good right off the bat though. Take down that little highlight. Oops. a little bit. I'll make my mouse bigger. Sometimes using a bigger mouse helps you have a little bit more control. Switch to white. There's a little bit of highlight that got deleted out. Put that back in. Just slowly go into that edge and brushing. There we go. It's looking really good. So, let's see here. Let's do an overall color balance to both her and the background. So you see shadows. Bring that down. A little bit of red in there. Highlights. Bring that up. A little bit of red. Mid-tones. Cool that off a little bit. A little bit more to the cyans. A little bit less. There we go. Turn that on and off. It's looking really good. See, curves. This is overall to everything. This is just to help it blend and make everything look like it goes together a lot better. That's a little too crunchy there. There we go. Brighten it all up. I'm digging it. So, put that into its own group so we can see what we did. Oops. Just the color balance and the curves one, not her. There we go. I'm liking that so far. And let's see here. You know what? I'm going to do another. I'm going to combine all the layers what we've done so far. So I'm going to hit Command Alt Shift and E again. That's going to make one new layer because I'm going to go into now Camera Raw. Filter, Camera Raw. There we go. And now I can make some adjustments to the whole image. There we go. Bring down those highlights just a little bit. I'm going to open up the shadows a tiny bit. Exposure. Bring out just a tad. A little bit of contrast. Whites. A little bit of bump in whites. Bring down those blacks just a little bit. Just a tiny bit of clarity. A little bit of dehaze. I'm not going to mess with vibrance just because the image is looking pretty vibrant as it is. So let's jump over to Effects tab. I'm going to add a bit of vignetting so it really brings in that focus more on her just a little bit. Let's see how that's looking. See that midpoint there. Up just a little bit. Just a little bit more. There we go. And let's see here. Sometimes I like to mess with the lens distortion just to see how it looks. I like that little bit of distortion coming in right about there. I can mess with split toning a little bit. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. We'll see what happens. 12. And I don't have any set thing that I use for this either. So I kind of just play with it and see what looks good. So pretty good. and off to see what's going on. I like that. Like that, but I do want to bring in a bit more yellow back in there, so I'm actually going to go back here, temperature, and bump that up just a tiny bit, plus 4. There we go. See HSL bar. Go. We can darken up our skin a little bit. These yellows. Nope, not gonna mess with that. The greens. Bump that up a little bit. Blues in the sky. Leave that. Bring up these blues, the reds. Just that, just a tiny bit. See saturation. There's yellows. And actually bring those yellows down. There we go. So it's not so bright there in the background. There we go. Same with the greens. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to bump up the greens. Blue in the sky. Leave those alone. Let's go to hue. Yellow. I can adjust that color there in the background. I like that a little bit more on the green side. Skin color. -1. Go. A little bit bright on the reds. Blues. A little bit into the purples. There we go in that sky. There we go. Take it a little bit out of that teal more into the blue. So you can see that's where we started off, and then camera raw adjustments. There we go. That looks really nice. Come back here. A little bit more contrast. I like that. Hit OK. Wow. That's a big difference. From that to that. Yeah, I really like that. There we go. Actually, we can turn that off, turn that on. We went from that to that. It's looking pretty good. All right, let's see. Maybe I'll mess around. Maybe put a light here on the side. Grab my gradient tool. And this light coming in over here. Oops. T. So it shows that there's like some light coming in from that side. It almost looks like flash a little bit. So it looks like that. It's too much. Take it down. There we go. A little bit more. Yeah, I like that a lot. There we go. And let's see here. Go to hue and saturation. Maybe take that down a little bit. Just so the colors aren't so punchy. There we go. That looks really good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and flatten everything down. And I think I am going to crop this as well. Possibly. We'll see what it looks like with the crop. Of how it would be cropped in Instagram if I did a portrait crop. There we go. That actually looked really good. I dig it. But I'm going to leave it wide because I can always do that crop in Instagram itself. There we go. And yeah, that's where I would leave this image. So we went from this image here to Lightroom. Finished with this kind of a almost like an ad looking type shot here by switching the background. And I would save this from here and it's good to go. Alright, thanks for watching.